end with two, maybe three stories, but I won't keep you too long. Is that all right? I'm going to kind of lean, sit, lean, that lean, sit thing that I get to do. All right. There we go. Okay. So we did a lot of personal stories. I'm going to step away from a personal story for a minute. I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the riverside. Oh, down by the riverside. Oh, down by the riverside. I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the riverside. I ain't going to study war no more. 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 I ain't gonna study war no more. Woo! The men finished singing that song and threw their blue caps up into the air. They cheered and they laughed and they grabbed one another in hugs, and then they began to scramble around looking for that blue cap on the ground. The war was over. The war between the states was done, and they had won. And now in Maryland, it was time to leave and go home. The colored soldiers had the opportunity to be in that fight, to be able to be in a place where they had fought for their own freedom. Many of the men who had been a part of the colored soldiers had always been free their entire life, had never known slavery. But then there were others, some who walked away, some who ran away. And they came and they fought, and now they were free. Adam clapped the man on the back as he put his cap on his head, and he started to think about that. Now that I'm free. He had run away himself, leaving his family behind much further down in Maryland, which was a slave state at that time. And now he was going home. After some more hugs and claps on the back and friends that he had met and how he said goodbye, he began to walk home. Adam was going to walk home by himself, and he was real happy to, because he wanted to just think a little bit about what had happened. He was now a free man. He was a free man. Had never been free before. Wasn't certain what that was going to feel like. When he saw his family and his wife, he'd already heard they had separated themselves from the plantation, and they were free too. He wanted to walk by himself and think about this. What did this mean for them? He walked along, and he hadn't walked too far away when he heard, "Adam, Adam." He turned. It was Sergeant Major. Yes, sir, Sergeant Major, sir. Adam, I heard that our families are not too far from one another. I thought we might walk together. Adam wanted more than anything just the silence, but he may have been free, but he understood that he still didn't have the right to say to a white man what he really wanted to say. So he just said, "Yes, sir, Sergeant Major. That'd be fine." They walked a little bit, an uncomfortable silence, and then Sarge said, "Adam, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind. I'm a little tired, and I got a lot on my mind, thinking about my family. I haven't seen my wife in so long. I don't even know if my boys will even remember who I am. And so if you don't mind, I'm just going to walk in silence." He looked at Sergeant Major. He was thinking the same thing he was. Who'd have thunk a white man and a colored man thinking the same thing? But there he finds Sergeant Major. And now they walked in a very companionable silence. They walked for a while, and the thoughts started coming into Adam's head more and more. Started to think about what it was like for his wife. He had money in his pocket. He was going to get a little something, maybe some new cloth. And with his children, what might he get for them? We couldn't wait to hold them. You know, they might be able to get a little place. Maybe start a little field, and they could get a little bit more. And he'd be able to make some decisions for himself. He'd be able to choose where he wanted to work, who he wanted to work for. He'd get money in his pocket. As he started thinking and thinking, his heart started to swell bigger and bigger, swelled more and more and more, until before he knew it, I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the riverside, oh, down by the... Sorry, Sergeant Major. Sorry. Do you want it quiet? Oh, no. I always like the way y'all folks sing. Always wish I could sing like that. And that made Adam laugh at Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major, you have the worst voice any of us have ever heard. We'd rather hear a donkey bray than have you try to sing. And Sergeant Major laughed as well. Adam had a joke with a white man. First time. And Sergeant Major laughed. I know. That's why I let y'all do the singing. And they became quiet again, walking along as friends. And they walked in that silence until Sergeant Major's stomach started to growl something big. And Adam just laughed until his stomach started to growl something big. Well, I expect that means we need to get something to eat. And they realized that there was a town a little bit further down. And so they started walking towards that. As they came into town, the two of them walking in their blue uniforms, everyone in the town looked at them coming by. Curiosity. As they got towards the middle of town, they could see a store, and standing in front of the store, and a small little step up in the small porch right there, there was a young man. It was a younger man than Adam. He had on a gray uniform, and he leaned heavy on a cane, like he had been harmed during the war. His face was a scowl. Sergeant Major recognized that would be the store, and so he gathered money from Adam and decided it was best for him to go on inside by himself without Adam beside him. And so Adam went across where from the store. There was some trees there, and went and sat and leaned himself back against some trees and waited. While Sergeant Major was in there, that young man started to look at him. Everything on him became dark. You could see the anger starting to come up in him. Ain't nobody tell you to come around here. I fought in the war against boys like you. Y'all trying to think you equal to us folk. You ain't equal. You ain't never gonna be equal. Come around here wearing your uniform like you somebody. I couldn't stand the sight of him. Don't know why you even come around here. Adam just sat down, shook his head. He could see the anger in that man. Didn't want to say nothing more. It wasn't just for a few moments before Sergeant Major came out with two hefty sandwiches, ham. I had old cured ham in them, and he came on across and walked past that gentleman, and he gave a sandwich over to Adam and sat down beside him, and they started to eat in silence. But that silence just made that young man more angry. Look at you. Come around here thinking that you one of us. You can sit with us and be with us and eat with me. You don't eat with us. And that young man took his cane and he started to go down that one step off the porch and started his way over as Adam was eating his sandwich and trying not to pay no mind. Boy, oh, I can't believe you come around here thinking you something you ain't. You is always going to be a colored man. Ain't never going to be anything like me. Never. And Adam was just tired. And he held the last part of his sandwich in his hand and he looked up and said, "Sir, I ain't trying to cause you no harm. I'm sorry you got hurt in the war. I ain't done that to you, sir. I ain't. You gonna talk back to me? Who you think you is, boy, to talk back to me like you can? Look me in the eye like you can. You ain't nothing. You ain't never been nothing. So I ain't trying to do nothing to you. You ain't never gonna talk back to me." And folks started to stop a little bit and look around a little bit. You ain't never been nothing. Adam put down his head. And then he stood up a little bit, started to stand, just to back away. And as he was standing, out of nowhere, that young man took his cane and brought his cane straight around to the face of Adam. It shocked Adam so bad he reared back and he landed on the ground. And then he stood up and his hands went into fist. But the crowd started to gather around and he knew this wasn't good. And the young man started to pick the cane up again, but this time Sergeant Major jumped up, got in front of that Confederate soldier, that young man. I understand exactly what you're thinking. I felt the same way. The colored troops, they only had, it was us white soldiers that was their officers and non-commissioned officers. And when I first started working with them, I didn't want to have nothing to do with them. Nothing at all. I didn't like them. Adam heard those words, and his heart fell. It wasn't true. You won't ever gonna be like everybody else. And he stopped listening. The Sergeant Major went on, so I know exactly what you feel. But then I started to fight alongside him. And once you fight alongside a man, and they save your life, and you save theirs, you become brothers in arms. And this here man is a brother in arms. The anger came on that man again, that young Confederate man, and he lifted up that cane, and Sergeant Major took his fist and went straight at his jaw, and he fell straight to the ground, dropping his cane along the way. Old folks started to gather. Sergeant Major undid the first couple buttons on his shirt, started rolling up the sleeves, folk gathered around. And here y'all want to come and take a piece of this right now. You come on and let me know. People backed away. A woman came out of that store. Woman came out of the store. She was young and pretty, and she come over to the young man on the ground. "Oh, honey, leave me alone, leave me alone." Sergeant Major picked up the man's cane and handed it back. The wife tried to help him up. Expect we need to go there. And they started to walk away. But Adam's whole countenance had changed. There was a deep sadness inside him. All he heard were them words, them first words. He had thought, he had believed, actually believed that there could be a difference. He actually believed that he could be the same as a white man. He actually believed they had something in common. But he knew the truth now. He was no better wanted now. And his despair grew in him. And he was deeply silent. I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. What are you doing? I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the... Please, Sergeant Gates, please stop singing or whatever that is you are doing. Why? Why should I start singing? You ain't singing. Sergeant Major, did you believe all that? Everything you say, did you believe all that? Yeah, I believed all I said. I didn't want to start. But then he became my brother. And you believe that? Am I really your brother? Yes. You are really my brother in arms. My family is your family. We are brothers. Now, why don't you get yourself together? Sing a song. My brother. I'm gonna lay down my burdens down